Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up, I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians or choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes this day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Now, if I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Oh, wow. That's close up. Oh my goodness. I zoomed in way too much on that camera. Let me see if I can zoom out a little. Woo, that was better. You can see my pores. Do I have lipstick on my teeth? No. You know, I always have to check that. Woo, that was surprising. And let me readjust my screens here. I had everything all off kilter and starting out with the Patreon. So let's start with that. Why don't we? And let me get comments off the screen till we get some commenters because, you know, it looks kind of weird just to have an empty box. So comment away. But along the bottom there, if you appreciate the type of work I do, please do consider supporting me on Patreon at patreon.com/Pink Flame of Liberty. I would truly appreciate it. And Jessica Jones is my newest patron. I haven't yet updated the ending screen, the ending thank you screen. So you get the personal thanks from me until I can do that, which will probably be tomorrow. Because of that computer crash I had a few weeks ago, I am super behind on my LNC minutes, so there's very little else I can do. But let's take that off the screen. Remind you, you can follow me on X Twitter, Karen Ann Harlos. And last but not least, if you are not subscribed to this show, I'm always screwing up my lipstick. Let me get my mirror out again. Okay. Please subscribe. I've been uploading a lot of shorts, and I know I have some hate watchers, some conservative hate watchers, and you're really going to love this show, but you might as well subscribe for some more hate watching or love watching. The algorithm doesn't care. So I would truly, truly appreciate it. Okay, let's get going. We are back on LP history, and I entitled this one episode 28A Super Bonus. So what is the super bonus? If you remember, and what made me think of it was the couple of shorts I uploaded today that had to do with a 1975 conservative critic of libertarianism by the name of Kevin Phillips. And it was mentioned that he had done an article because he was very butthurt about McBride. And I had said, let's get that article. So rather than waiting till the end, I went and got that article. Dun, dun, dun. Here comes the Libertarians. And we're going to go through this and also that convention booklet we started looking at last time. I figured, why wait till the end? Let's do it right now. So let me show you this article, but then we're going to go through it. I haven't read it yet. I'm going to read it with you. We know what was it Ed Crane's reaction was to it, but let's see what our reaction is to it. And hello, JJ. So here is the article. Here come the Libertarians, a syndicated columnist, Kevin Phillips. I had never heard of him before, but, you know, apparently he was a big deal back then. I have a feeling this is going to call for some wine, so let's get started. I'll leave it up on the screen. Why not? Get my old lady glasses on. So Kevin Phillips, here come the Libertarians. One wonders, does one? Does one wonder? Apparently one does wonder. One wonders why the fledgling Libertarian Party chose to hold its August 28th through September 1st National Convention in New York City. Why would one wonder that? We have a party there. It's a major city. That's a weird sentence to start off with. Why would one wonder that? But okay, one apparently was wondering that. Perhaps some youthful enthusiast said, let us go to New York City, which more than any other place in the United States proves the offensiveness and ineffectiveness of modern government. Maybe. I could tell you we didn't choose DC because of that for our next convention, and that would certainly show the offensiveness and ineffectiveness of modern government. They probably chose New York because the Free Libertarian Party of New York said they'd organize it. It's probably quite mundane, the reason why they chose it. A sound thought in its way, what with Big Mac, Municipal Assistance Corporation, Little Abe Beam and all, but hardly an argument for the libertarian alternative. So he's constructing this scenario in his own mind and then refuting this story he's making up. Okay. To see New York City, to wander its porn-lit streets. How do you light things by porn? Okay. Observe its million-plus welfare population, cower in its thug-infested subways, is to surmise a need for Caesarism. If you remember, that's what was said in LP News, not anarchy. Well, you are probably defining the word wrong, but it's interesting that you want a Caesar. Lick that boot, lick that boot. You must like the taste of shoe leather. In disagreeing with the failure of the liberal welfare state, New York City version, one can still make a good case for order, authority, and restraint. This sounds like Matt Walsh. Like Matt Walsh was transported back in time. Having grown up in New York City, not far from where the British Broadcasting Company shot its recent sociological horror film, The Bronx is Burning. I've never heard of that. Maybe we'll need to look that up. I find libertarianism lacking in urban contemporary relevance. Okay. Its theme may seem plausible in Taos, New Mexico. I was wondering, like, or Aspen, Colorado. Yay, Aspen! I don't know why he picked Aspen, but okay. Or to the middle-class dropouts of Scarsdale or Marin County, California. Now, maybe he picked Aspen because it's affluent and low in crime. I don't know. But to those of us who rode the IRT subway through Brook Avenue, Simpson Street, or 163rd Street, a closer approximation of truth lies with Thomas Hobbes, the 17th century British philosopher who said that life is solitary, poor, nasty, Brutus, and short. So far, Kevin Phillips has been represented properly by LP News. Those are direct quotes from here. He did say that he held to Hobbes's description of life and saw a need for Caesarism, and he isn't speaking about the salad. By which I mean that libertarianism is too optimistic a creed. Okay, Debbie Downer, that's fine. I'll call myself an optimist. Take away New York's drug laws, pornography statutes, school attendance law, welfare apparatus, and all the other things libertarianism would scrap, and the city would degenerate into a bloody chaos that would make Europe's 30 Years' War look like a psalm sing. But wait a minute. You're saying how bad New York City is now. You're conceding that in here about the horrors of riding the subway and all of the failures. Yet it has these laws that you just cited right now, Kevin. You're saying if you take away those laws, it would degenerate into a bloody chaos, but you're claiming it's a bloody chaos now with those laws. Didn't think that one through, did you? This is not to fault the entire libertarian agenda. No, of course not. Because conservatives like to whore the word libertarian when it suits them. Probably going to do a short clip on that, you know, with conservatives, everyone wants to be a libertarian until it's time to do libertarian shit. There is a sound case for reducing overregulation of some U.S. industries and a powerful argument for getting the federal government out of the racial quota guidelines business. But unfortunately, you don't really have a grounding for that doesn't logically lead back to a libertarian grounding. You're just cherry picking the things that you particularly like. It's your preference. Unfortunately, though, many libertarians tend to subordinate action on the plausible 20 to 30% of their agenda in favor of sweeping rhetoric and irrelevant politics. That's been an argument going on within the Libertarian Party. So I'll tell you where I come down on that. Hey, Adam, it's like when you're negotiating. Now, people who will say you will not take anything other than everything, that is, in fact, non-productive. But say you worked in law and you're in a mediation and you're doing negotiation, you always ask for the moon and settle for Lagrange points. Because if you start with the Lagrange points, you'll end up less than that. You'll end up airline height. You always ask for everything you want, and you make the opposition start from their lower position and move towards you. What it reminds me of is the shell game that conservatives play, where there will be today, the set point, whatever it might be, let's say taxes. And the Democrats want to raise taxes 30%. Let's just pull a number out of our booty. And the Republicans will say, well, we got them to only raise it 10% and call that a 20% victory. No, it isn't. It's still 10% more. A victory would be them saying they want to raise it and you saying you want to lower it by 50% and you meet at lowering it 10. That's actually movement in the right direction. But if you won't take the 10% reduction because what you really want is 50% or 100%, yes, that would be foolish. And there are some libertarians like that. But most libertarians are not. But we do the rhetoric because the rhetoric is what moves the Overton window. You don't play safe in rhetoric. The Democrats know this so well. Whoops. Okay. Much of this can be attributed to naivete about the basic direction of Western politics. No, I think we understand the basic direction towards socialism quite well. Better than you, because I bet you support all kinds of socialist programs. And that the growth of government can only be modified and tuned rather than reversed. He just said exactly what I said. Does not actually hope for any reversal. None. Libertarianism is a curious philosophical mix of Epicurus, Herbert Spencer, Thomas Jefferson, Ayn Rand, and Abbie Hoffman. For example, Jerome Tuchelli, New York's 1974 Libertarian gubernatorial candidate, he says, a libertarian is a conservative. Stop, don't agree. We are not a conservative, but we'll let Tuchelli speak for himself. He said a libertarian is a conservative who believes in letting people have fun. I hate those kind of sloganeering statements. They're dumb. They're bad, and you should feel bad for saying them. Bad, Jerry Tuchelli. Bad. But, you know, he probably said that in some off-the-cuff way, and this guy, Mr. Caesarism, I bring to you a new salad. He might be taking it out of context, but taking it at its face value, that's a dumb thing to say. Has written a new book, Bubbling with Optimism. How dare he? You got to be pessimistic about the future, the national trend toward libertarianism, and how good everything can be. Alas, Tuchelli and company might do well to contact California psychobiologist David Goodman. No idea who that is, but okay, just throwing in an argument from authority here. After isolating the 137 definite predictions from George Orwell's chilling but prophetic book 1984, Goodman has found that 100 of them have already come true. All the more reason to push for reversal rather than just slowing the inevitable progress to decay. How he thinks this is an argument for conservatism, I don't know. What exactly is he trying to conserve if it's not to reverse the socialist agenda? That's what's interesting. Goodman found that 100 have already come true, ranging from helicopter gunships and smart bombs to government computer data banks on individuals to psychosurgery. What is psychosurgery? I'm sure they don't mean surgeons that are psychos. What is psychosurgery? I've got to look that up. That is a term I've never heard before. Sounds very 1970s, though. Very Jetsons. Let's see. Psychosurgery. I'm going to feel real dumb if this is something I should know. Psychosurgery is a field of surgery which consists of stereotactic operations on the brain aimed at altering abnormal physiology by severing certain connections between the frontal lobe. Why does this sound like a lobotomy? And the rest of the brain, including the cortex. Have no idea. It's controversial. So he's normalizing something that apparently is super controversial. We're going to look at Wikipedia. I know it's not always the best, but it'll give us a little bit of an understanding. Yeah, it says it talks about he devised the standard prefrontal procedure and named their operative technique lobotomy. Okay, this guy's making an argument. Yeah, lobotomies are just so common today. He was right. And behaviorist techniques in re-educating criminals. Under these conditions, libertarians who want to be effective had better recognize that massive government is here to stay. There's your conservative for ya. Massive government is here to stay. Libertarian butt, kiss it. So that they can focus, as is needed, on its abuse. Massive government is in itself an abuse. You can't focus on its abuse when it's ontologically and inherently abusive. Getting all libertarian lathered up. That's always fun. Otherwise, libertarianism will bear unfortunate resemblance to the English Luddites. And what's so funny is libertarians generally are big embracers of technology. So to try to throw in Luddite is just super, super funny. Like, most of the transhumanists I know are libertarians. Now, whether you support transhumanism or not, that's like the exact opposite of Luddism, who thought they could stave off the Industrial Revolution simply by trying to smash machinery. That made absolutely no sense. Libertarians are inherently forward-looking. So that Luddism accusation at the end, that was just bizarre. All right, well, I was expecting something a bit more challenging. Wah, wah, sad trombone. Let's just go back to the convention brochure. That was the other thing I wanted to cover today. Okay, let me find where I can forward this PDF. We had looked at this cover. And look, they typed it, because this is typed, on one of those cursive typewriters. I used to have one of those. They were fun. They were really, really fun. And yeah, Mutual 7 Freedom, let me put this comment here, because it's the Luddite thing is so funny. He said, hang on, who's embracing blockchain and who's trying to regulate it? Okay, I love this cursive typewriter. I wonder who dragged that out of their basement. Okay, and we had looked at this letter from Ed Crane last time, but let's flip through to see what else is in this packet. And Bunchy, settle down. I know that was a bad article and you're trying to run away, but settle down, Bunchy. We haven't heard from Bunchy in a while. Yes, that's how I feel. I feel your pain, Bunchy. I really do feel your pain. Okay, next page. Dear delegates and guests. So there's the state chair, Gary Greenberg of the Free Libertarian Party of New York. This is all on Lpedia, so we are just flipping through this. Here's the delegate list. Oh, fun. Let's see who was in Colorado. Pip Boyle. I thought it was Boyles. Anyway, he was the first chair of the platform committee. Eleanor Colvin, John James, he designed the Tanstaffel logo, the arrow thingy. And we've never been able to find him since, and that's such a common name. I wish somebody would dig up, well, I don't mean that literally, I hope he's still alive, but find John James. David F. Nolan, and he was an ex officio delegate because he was on, remember we looked at the old bylaws, and I think LNC members were ex officio delegates. Susan Nolan, same thing. She was our first chair. Norma Oldham, Janice Prince, and Patty Shearer. I don't know the rest of those. So, were these the only... must go to another page, because it couldn't have just stopped at Kentucky. Yeah, here we go. I'm just scanning these fast, see if any other names jump out at me. Looking here at Michigan, because I know some early Michigan people. Bill Craybaum, I think he recently passed away, and I think he was their first chair. That name is familiar to me. So, Robert Nozick from Massachusetts. That's fun. D. Frank Robinson from Oklahoma. Tony Nathan from Oregon. Okay. Oh, there's another page. Let's see who else we got here. Carl Bray from Utah. Skip Barron, I think, was the first chair of Washington. Okay, so here's candidates. Candidates for president, Roger Lee McBride, and that's spelled like Leia, like a girl. Guy Riggs, Kay Haroff, whose hairstyle I just absolutely love. Jim Trotter, Tony Nathan, and I love her hairstyle as well. I love those 70s, like Mad Men styles there. And there's the executive committee, members at large. Regional reps. There was 8 regions, and we expanded to 20 at some point. National headquarters staff. And then here is the program. So it's a week-long convention. That is something, but it doesn't look like business the whole time. So there was a panel discussion on Monday, oil and politics. Then Tuesday, open hearings for the platform committee, open hearings for the Constitution, bylaws, and rules committee, open hearings for the credentials committee, and then some classes on campaigning, the gold standard, fundraising. So while they said it was a week-long convention, I tend to think of the convention as only the business. So we'll see how long the business is. Because if you counted the couple days of pre-convention activities at our national conventions, they're 5 days. This convention, by the way, this coming up one is going to be 3.5 days, maybe 4 of business. We're going Friday through Monday. Fair warning. Okay, then Wednesday, closed hearings. Then some more action things. And look, at the end of the day, there was a class on how to start a libertarian bookstore. Okay, Thursday. God, I wish I could have heard that talk. David Friedman, An Appreciation of Nozick's Anarchy, State, and Utopia. Fantastic book. And they did a bus tour of Manhattan the day before. Okay, so first general session started on Thursday. And they had a keynote address in the morning. Or is they just giving the information on it there? Hard to say. They had a parliamentarian. I can't pronounce that name. Ailsa Thompson was the parliamentarian. I'm assuming that's a lady. But that sounds like a lady name. So, Ms. Thompson, haven't heard of her. So then there's credentials report, but then they have another panel. Then platform report. So it looks like all they did was platform the first day. And it continued the second day through Friday. It still continued through Friday. They had 2 full days of platform. I mean, they had other happenings, but 2 days, the only business the first 2 days was credentials and platform. And then Saturday, nomination. I mean, really, was that all? Let's go look again. Platform. Yep. When do they do the Constitution and bylaws? Okay, so Saturday, presidential nominations. Then vice presidential nominations, and they don't start till bylaws until late Saturday. Now, what's interesting is I know we love our platform debates, but more important, existentially important to the organization is the bylaws. Like, that should come before platform. If you notice our standing agenda now, first item of business after credentials is bylaws. But anyway, that was third day is bylaws and in the afternoon. So let's see how long they allocated for that. Sunday, LNC members. And then the convention adjourns. So it doesn't even look like on Sunday they continue with bylaws. They just have, let's go back. Saturday, what time? Afternoon. They just have a couple hours for oh, that is crazy. They spend 2 days on platform, a half a day, maybe a little bit more, on the top of the ticket nominations, half a day on Constitution. The next day is regional caucuses and the election. They called it the executive committee at the time, but the LNC. And then a grand banquet at 8 p.m. There's Murray Rothbard. And then Monday, at 9 a.m. was the first LNC meeting of the newly elected LNC. So the actual convention is 4 days. That's going to be what we're doing, but we're not going to spend 2 days on platform. I'll tell you that. Yeah, Bunchy's freaking out. He's like, 2 days on platform. Let's go. Okay, let's see what else is here. So now they're giving you introductions of the platform committee. Was Murray Rothbard? Murray Rothbard was on it. Okay, it's continuing. There's a big platform committee. Now, the Bylaws Constitution Committee. Okay, Credentials Committee. And what's this? LP Convention History. Check this out. I've never even noticed there. So it gives you Denver 72, Cleveland 73, Dallas 74. So let's look at Dallas 74. Here's what's so interesting is that the Dallas Accord has become more significant as the years go on. What's interesting about history or significant events in history, unless you're talking about something like 9/11, something traumatic, a lot of times you only know how important it is after the passage of time. So some people have given me as a gotcha about the Dallas Accord. This is the dumbest objection you'll ever heard. You won't find any references to the Dallas Accord from that time frame. Well, no shit, Sherlock. They didn't know they were creating an accord. They were just doing a debate and trying to keep the party together. It was called the Dallas Accord in retrospect when the significance of it became, obvious. But anyway, let's read what they were saying in 75 about 74. This was the one people are still talking about. The attitude was no longer can we, but when will we? Well over 300 people attended the 4-day exhausting convention in sweltering Dallas. Most of the convention was devoted to prolonged platform debate. They're talking about the Dallas Accord there, which usually lasted well into the night. And on one occasion, until 8 a.m., they did platform all night. Oh my God, I love libertarians. Major platform hurdles eventually overcome included ones on taxation, abortion, and national defense. Now, check this out. Subtle, so they were starting to understand. And the amendments are so subtle. Everyone thinks the Dallas Accord is the really obvious amendments. No, they weren't. It was the subtle one that made there no longer be a positive role for government, only a negative role if it should exist. That is so monumental that it can't be understated. But anyway, subtle amendments to the Statement of Principles made that document more acceptable to the entire LP spectrum. What's not said there, the subtext is to anarchists. The spirited race for national chairman, in which Ed Crane of California defeated Eric Royce of Virginia, was an intriguing backdrop to the platform debate. Okay, so there you're starting to see references to what happened at that convention. And then here's the 1972, July 71. I thought it was August because... Why? What day was it that Nixon announced wage and price controls? Because David Nolan said that was the day that they were meeting, and that happened to be announced, and that's when they decided that they were going to form a party. And I didn't think that was July 71. Let's look up, when did Nixon announce wage and price controls? So, Nixon announced wage and price controls. What date was it? August 1971? No. Yeah, August 71. So this is wrong. It says July 71. It was August 71. Maybe they were talking in July, but they made the decision the night of that broadcast. Okay, by June of 72, there was 900 members. Wow, this is 54 pages long. We better hurry up. So here's state chairs. John James was state chair of Colorado? Did I know that? But there's an address. We might be able to track him down from that address now. Damn, like when I wouldn't have been able to use it, obviously, because it was reserved for law firm work. But when I used to work in Florida, I did a lot of skip tracing when we needed to find witnesses. And all I needed, if they had a common name, like Jesus Martinez out of Miami, if I had an address, if I had at least one address, I could find them. If I still had access to AutoTrack, that is the skip trace software that we use, that private investigators use, I could find this guy and find out if he's still living. Any private investigators out there? Right there, John James. And this is an old address, so I don't mind saying it, 411 Cook Street. That house might not even exist anymore, Denver, Colorado, 80206. Let's look to see if that address still exists. Well, I'm sure the address still exists, but it might not be a house anymore. Cook Street, Denver. Street view. Yep, it's a cute neighborhood. Let me show you this. Now, it might not have looked like that then, because this looks newer, and it might have been a vintage house then. Let me pull this up for you. Let's go back to this screen. Why won't it let me share my screen? It won't let me share my screen. That is interesting. I think it's because, oh, it is, but I have this overlay. Let's go back to here. Now let me see if it'll share my screen. There you go. So I think it's this little house on the corner. That's cute, if so. I like Denver a lot. Let's take a look around. This doesn't look like an old neighborhood, so I bet you the original house is raised. Let's continue down the street. Yeah, this is a newer neighborhood. Because in Denver, there's a lot of vintage homes. There's some really cute vintage homes in Denver. Okay, we're going to go back here. And let's go back to the screen. But now I have hope that we can find John James. Wouldn't it be funny if he still lived there? Because here's what's funny, is for a while, people thought that Susan Nolan disappeared. Then when we finally tracked her down, she's in the same house she'd been in when she and David were married in Denver. And I visited her at that house. And it was a cute little house. And yeah, JJ said, and this is the day they decided to form a party. I remember Nolan saying it. So August 15th, 1971. I thought it was in mid-August. Thank you. So yeah, Susan stayed in that house the whole time. Wouldn't it be funny if John James was still at that house? I seriously doubt that, though, because I don't even think that address is the same. That looks like a brand new neighborhood. Wayne would be able to tell me. Okay. Convention committee. That's interesting drawing. Did you know? Canada's magazine advocating civil liberties. What's it called? Option? I had never heard of that magazine. Yeah, yes, Elizabeth Nolan is still around. As far as I know, I hope something hasn't happened to her. I wrote her a couple months ago, but hadn't heard back, expecting to see her at the Arizona convention. She's been at each one I've been to. McBride in 76. This must have been an ad. Yeah, the committee to nominate McBride, because he did get the nomination. be free of taxes. So she wasn't at the Omni. As far as I know, she is still around. Emily would know more than I do. Let's see here. Look at these ads that people paid to try to run for office. Bill Westmiller. The best books in town, laissez-faire books. Society for Individual Liberty. Stock up on ammo. Oh, do they mean that literally? No, they mean it figuratively. Packets. That's funny because with a libertarian ad, you don't know. They could literally mean ammo. That is an interesting little drawing. I like that. Oh my God! There's an Aleister Crowley quote in here. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. That is Aleister Crowley, and love under law, love under will, or something like that. Wow! So it's the Society for the Propagation of Religious Truth, the Oriflame, a review of magic. It's the Thelemite Society. Wow. You don't see ads like that in LP News anymore, but why not? I mean, we certainly are for religious freedom. Are you your brother's jailer? Okay. Tired of being stuffed into little boxes? The Association of Libertarian Feminists. This is an interesting ad. I think this is the earliest ad I've seen for ALF. What's that? The income tax is obsolete? Limit. It's the national newsletter. Look, they took an ad from Republicans. The national newsletter of the Libertarian Republican Alliance. Interesting. Against the Wall. I think I have one of those here. Let me go show you something. This is so cool. This is here. Hold on one second. I keep talking. Let me show you. I got it right here. It's so funny that there's an ad for Against the Wall, which is an obscure, like, zine style. Look what I happen to have just sitting right here. Against the Wall. I have an issue of it. And this, what date is this from? What's this ad? Here's another ad for Against the Wall. I'm trying to see what date this issue is from. It's volume 9, number 10. That doesn't tell me very much. L. Neil Smith has a letter in here about restructuring the LP. I'm trying to find what year this is. Present at the creation, an interview with David Nolan, an early LP ad. This has to be an older issue, but I can't find it right here. But it has to be an older issue because it talks about an early LP ad, so probably 10 years into it. But let's see. With restructuring the LP. Check this out. After much reflection, I've decided to express myself frankly about certain problems presently confronting the Libertarian Party. The structure of the LP, a hastily adopted, ill-considered imitation of the major parties. No, it isn't an imitation of the major parties. The major parties have much larger national committees than the LP does. The argument for expanding the National Committee is for us, not everybody's argument, but the last time this was attempted to be proposed, which was by Andy Craig, which should give you a bunch of boo hisses, was to make us more like the LNC and the RNC, which the full National Committee is much larger. One of them was like 115 members. So I think Ellen Neal, you are incorrect here. Now maybe when this was written it was correct. I don't know. So he suggests replacement of the National Committee, a superfluous, anti-productive body of would-be celebrities, disgustingly reminiscent of high school student government. And he wants a council of state chairs. So it seems like this is an argument that's been going on for a long time. Wants to get rid of any officers. So don't have a national chair, vice chair, secretary, or treasurer. No at-larges. Have annual conventions in weakest states. And here's interesting. So there must have been, obviously there were always disputes amongst affiliates. So there must have been, though, some contentious disputes, because listen to what he says. He wants a provision of the Constitution and bylaws permitting state parties with factional or other disputes to divide themselves, and most importantly, an additional provision establishing representation at conventions by a proxy system. Have no idea what he's talking about there, but apparently wants there to be more than one state level of affiliate. That's never going to happen. Very interesting. So it seems like a lot of the disputes of today were still the disputes of back then. Now, I knew El Neil. He was quite cantankerous. He lived in Colorado. He was one of the reasons for the Arizona party to get disaffiliated. Was it in 2000? I think, was it for the 2000 presidential nomination where they put El Neil Smith on the ballot instead of Harry Brown? I'm pretty sure. Okay, so this interview with David Nolan was done in 1981. So this issue is at least 1981. And I have a feeling it's a bit older. So we're looking at the 80s, probably. So I don't know what kind of factional disputes were going on in the 80s, but El Neil was lathered up about it. But some of the things he's suggesting have been apparently early suggestions. He's advocating, though, for something that he says, as described in his book, which I haven't read yet, called The Probability Broach. That is supposed to be an excellent book. But I'm going to show you what else I have here that we've got to go over someday. We're not going to go over everything. Here's Reason from 77, though. America's third largest party. Reason actually used to cover the LP. Like, except for, now they cover it when they feel like it and to trash us, pretty much. But they used to very solidly cover the LP. The early 70s, Reason, they had a regular Libertarian Party column. But one day, we need to do a live stream, and I need to break out the crayons, and maybe we'll all just get together and have a drinking party. But I've got the Libertarian Party coloring book here. Yes, there is a Libertarian Party coloring book. We'll go this on a show. Ron Paul's on the cover. But let's look. Can you imagine giving this to your kid? Here, Johnny, let's color in Kurt Vogel Russell, Ayn Rand, and Vince Vaughn. Oh my God. Imagine giving this to your kid to color. That is so autistic. And I say that as an autist. Oh my God. Oh, the Libertarian Party coloring book. That's fantastic. Oh. Okay, let's continue with this convention brochure. I am having too much fun, and this show's lasting a long time. Make your own, okay. Statement of principles. It used to be that in every publication, except for ones where it was like one page or whatever, It used to be that it was a requirement that the statement of principles be printed in every LP publication. So when you see some of those trifold booklets or, you know, various things, the last page was always the statement of principles. I love that. I wish we still did that. But the short attention span of today, we barely get any like information in a lot of things. It's a lot of open space. That's the design concept, but we used to have a requirement that the statement of principles be included in everything. One day I'm going to bring down that statement of principles I have framed. It is on my wall. I do have a framed statement of principles in my bedroom. That sounded kinky. I didn't mean it that way. Though with me, you wouldn't be surprised. I love the statement of principles so much. But no, I want to at auction in Colorado a very beautifully framed statement of principles. Okay, that is it. On that note, that is it for that. Let me just stick comments here on the screen, giving a few moments just to see if there are any questions. And just close with the usual grift. Please consider supporting the show at patreon.com/Pink Flame of Liberty. Super thanks, super chats, always help. And I am going to be recording some things that aren't going to be live that I'm going to upload later tonight. A short update on the Hal Hebert case and maybe a few other things. But this is it for the live show for this evening. So I hope you have an awesome night. And Jessica Jones, I will be getting your name on my closing credits. But until then, you'll get a personal mention from me, my newest patron. Thank you. Have a good night. Mi guapa, stay libertad.
Given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in the business, not because they want to